Hi, this is Ryan Schultz, and welcome to Metaverse Newscast, the show where we interview the personalities behind social VR, virtual worlds, and the metaverse. Today, I have the very great pleasure of interviewing Noz'aj, who is the creator of the domain called Beyond, which was voted the best domain in the best domain contest that was recently held at the Futurelands Festival in High Fidelity. Noz'aj, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
And I don't know if I've said this to you on camera before, but this is the best VR experience I've visited all year. And I have been to dozens and dozens of experiences. So thank you. And congratulations on winning the contest.
Thank you.
Can you tell me a little bit about your background? How did you get involved with social VR and virtual worlds in the first place?
Well, I did illustration at university.
Okay.
And I happened to get the original DK1 when it came out.
Oh, cool.
So I was there from a fairly early year. And then just as I played with different games and various things, I came across High Fidelity. And this is the one place where I felt like I could actually not just experience what people do in these worlds, but actually take part and make something myself. So yeah, after doing illustration at university, I branched out into applied media, and I was able to utilize virtual reality in that course.
Oh, interesting.
And that's kind of the seed for some of this world, is some of the work I did for that. I wouldn't say I've repurposed it exactly, but I've sort of grown on the concept of this alien location.
Can you tell me a little bit about your inspiration in creating Beyond?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what my inspiration is really. I mean, it's like the ideas, the aesthetic of this place. I've thought about it for many years. It's it's one of my daydreams. One of the things I think about. I've watched too much Star Trek over the years. So, what would my alien planet look like, and what would happen on that place? So this is my take on an alien locale, and I like to think that you get the impression that something has happened here, or there's a slightly dynamic quality to this world which you can pick up on if you walk through it.
I can see that you're wearing body trackers. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, so I'm wearing 5 extra trackers. So I have the headset and the controllers.
Okay.
And then I have five trackers on my body.
Okay. Where are they located?
So I have one on my feet.
Okay.
And then one on my hips.
Okay.
And then one on each shoulder. So they capture most of my movements quite well.
You have particle effects in hi-fi, right? Like I noticed there's smoke rising from that crater there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have particle effects yet in Sansar.
Yeah, see, in the translocator, there's light inside, and what I did is I had a bright smoke effect that quickly vanishes and is replaced by a grey smoke effect. Okay. So the idea was it should look illuminated, and as it leaves the light field, it should look like the light disappears.
Okay.
I spent quite a lot of time on the particle effects. Well, a long time, because I don't actually know what I'm doing. So a lot of this is just sort of trial and error. And just constantly
which is to be
iterating.
expected for a new virtual world.
Yeah.
And you made all the statues yourself?
I would say, 98% of all of the content in here. Okay. I think the only thing that isn't mine is actually the sky. That was from the market.
Okay.
And some of the sound effects, some of them are synthesizers, but others are from sound libraries, and I've manipulated the sounds.
I noticed the circles in the sky rotate very slowly. It's a lovely effect.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, I like the way it cuts out the sun and casts shadows.
When the shadow falls on you.
Yeah, it's nice.
I particularly like the way you set it up like a story where you follow into the valley here.
Yeah. I did intend to have narrative elements in here. I haven't implemented them yet. And I'm not sure that I will either, but it's something I might do.
Well, I don't think they're absolutely necessary. There's a lot to be said for just going and exploring.
Yeah, I think so. And just let your imagination fill in the blanks.
It took me a little bit to figure out how to get up these stairs. So Noz'aj, this is the starting place of your domain, your
Yeah.
experience. And we seem to be on some planet where there's a snowstorm raging outside. The effects are very good. Um, what was your inspiration for creating this spaceship?
Well, I wanted like a controlled starting zone where stuff would load in really quickly, and it would set the mood and get people on their way. But what I really like about this place is the sense of being safe in here. It's a bit spooky, but outside there's a storm and it's dark, and those copper trees are being lit up. But in here it feels safe. I quite like that feeling.
You feel protected. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And over there, of course, is the teleport that takes you down to the planet's surface.
Right. And because I'm such a nerd, I'd have to say it's a translocator rather than a teleporter.
Okay, gotcha.
But it's part of the technology that the beings that live or lived here had or have. And eventually I will have many of these translocators. I mean, this is like a small... I think of it as a spaceship, essentially. I mean, it's down on the planet, but it would be nice to start in space, ideally, and then come down here.
So this is just a start for you. You're planning on expanding this?
Yes, I mean, if you turn around, there's a sort of circle on the wall over there.
Yes.
Eventually that will open. When people approach it, it will open.
Okay.
And the rest of the teleporters or translocators will be through there.
Oh, I see. Okay. How long did it take you to build this?
I'm not sure. Several months. I don't know how many hours, but I had some long days in here.
Okay. Yeah, I can imagine it took a long time. It's such a huge, monumental experience.
Well, you see, I used to play a lot of hardcore games. Like, I played a lot of Elite Dangerous, and I sat there for a week to get this spaceship, and I thought to myself, if I can literally sit here for a week and waste my time, what could I do if I actually applied myself? And now I've focused that energy on this. I feel like I'm on the path to something a bit more exciting in my future.
Great. I think that's wonderful. Where would you like to take me for another spot?
Perhaps one of the caves with the echoes.
Oh, that would be wonderful, actually. Yes. Go ahead. Lead on.
Okay. To the translocator.
To the translocator. Andrew? Noz'aj, we're in a crystal cave that's hidden behind a waterfall in one of the places on Beyond. I'm going to leave it up to the viewer to figure out how to find this spot. It's not that easy. I do want to ask you, the statues, the cave, everything, how much of that was stuff that you built yourself?
All of that stuff I built myself in ZBrush.
Okay.
100%.
Okay. Cool. Very, very interesting. So I can see why it took you months and months to put this together. So
this is the problem. And also, you get to that strange stage where the first few weeks, it seems like you get so much done. And then as you start fixing little things, it just takes longer and longer and longer. So,
what was the biggest challenge that you had to face in building this?
Constructing all of this stuff underground, I didn't think it through. I just sort of made a section of tunnel, made a chamber, made another section of tunnel, and suddenly I'd put the tunnel underneath something above, and the sound broke or the lighting was wrong, and it took me ages rebuilding all of the tunnels and reorientating them just right.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't thinking like a game developer. I should have made sections that I could stick together like Legos.
Okay.
But instead I had this wild organic process, which looks nice, but was very, very hard to work with.
Well, one of the things that I think it really adds to the atmosphere is the layered soundscapes that you have put in here. Could you talk a bit about how you created those?
Well, sure. I've before I got into 3D stuff, I wouldn't say I was a musician exactly, but I've made a lot of music over the past 15, 20 years.
Okay.
And I didn't actually realize until now, but I've actually learned something about sound. So, yeah, I appreciate that sound has a fall off. High-pitched sound reflects, low-pitched sound penetrates.
Yes.
And it's nice to to have layers of sound. There's 2 or 3 sounds playing right now, for instance. I can hear water, a drone. There's a science fiction-y sound playing in the background as well. So I just think lots of little subtle sounds help with the atmosphere.
Yes, I do agree with you totally.
And I think in time as well, with better tools, it will get better because you can have, for instance, when we went into the cave, we had the reverberation effect.
Yes.
But there was an absolute cutoff between the two sections. So once we have fall off with those effects, the sound's going to be out of this world because the very nature of the rock will change the amount of reverberation. So hard rock will reflect the sound and porous rock will absorb it. So
yes, if you what you'll be able to do, something similar to what you already have in Sansar, where you can set material types, and then when you walk on stone as opposed to grass, you'll have a different sound. So that will come too, I'm sure.
Yeah, and even better will be as you make that footstep, the sound will, interact with the landscape to an extent.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
Especially with the ray tracing that's been developed now as well with the RTX. Doesn't have to be used for reflections. It could be used for sound instead, for instance.
Okay.
So lots of cool stuff in our future, I think.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
I just hope that people who come here and like this, perhaps if they come back every 3 to 6 months, they may find that I've actually put something else in here by then. And I hope they enjoy it.
Well, you've just told them that. Noz'aj, I would like to thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for this interview. I have really enjoyed this guided tour, and thank you.
Thank you.
And again, I'm Ryan Schultz, and this is Metaverse Newscast.
Well, I'm a fairly sedate person most of the time, so I didn't go crazy or anything. I just I counted up my winnings and I bought something fairly extravagant but also useful. I've ordered wireless for my Vive headset, and I also have a phone that's now capable of playing high fidelity on. So yeah, it was cool, and I used the winnings for semi-useful but fun things. One of the things that they've talked about that I really like the sound of is, let's say I have myself and 5 or 6 friends, and we all have high fidelity, and we have this absolutely gigantic, 300 gigabyte monstrous world that we've made between us. What I like is the idea that we can share all of that information in a sort of peer-to-peer network between us. So we host it locally, we share it, and everything's distributed between us friends, and we don't have to worry about size or bandwidth constraints or processing power because everybody has a gaming rig. So I like the idea that we can just have this self-distributed sort of experience, and then other people could also come in and join in and sort of share and tap into the bandwidth and sort of computational potential of our network. So that's something I would think would be really, really cool in the future. I guess the underlying technology of high fidelity, if you know what you're doing with the scripting, you can essentially do anything you like in here. In theory, so you have physics in here, so you can have dynamic events that are physics based, for instance, and also the streaming technology. I mean, that's what I like the most about this. High fidelity is like 200 or 300 megabytes to download. It's seconds with a decent internet connection. And as soon as I give somebody the address to this world, in theory, once we have the curated download priority stuff sorted, one click, and then 5 seconds later, bam, they're in my world. And hopefully that will be the last time they see anything load up, they're just in. So what I like about high fidelity is the way it makes my work very, very accessible to anyone with a reasonable computer and an okay internet connection. Yeah, that's one of Hi-Fi's big weaknesses right now, and I guess there needs to be some system where you can just have a fairly generic avatar and resize it, change all of the proportions, and then accessorize it easily. And then if people want, bespoke avatars made for them, they can commission one perhaps. But I think they need to make it basically a lot easier for people to make a basic avatar. Well, I guess it depends on their background and where they've come from. If they're working in 2 dimensions right now, then they're going to have to make the jump to 3 dimensions. and they're going to have to find and use a 3D program that they can get on with. And for me, I like ZBrush very much, but I think Blender is a great choice for people. It's free, and I think it does almost everything that lots of other programs can do, but maybe not quite as well as those programs. But being free, the price is right.